Morning, morning, everybody, again. Back to Mel and Tony under the tree, where we meet every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And our show is uplifting, inspiring, helping relationships. We are a relationship show, and this is how we try to reach the widening public. And Mel, everything is good before we start.
Yes, everything is good. As you always say, this is the day that the Lord has made.
Let us
So I'm
rejoice.
rejoicing and I'm glad.
Well, this is a day to rejoice and glad. The weather is so hot outside that you know how many people dying to have this type of weather around the world. So let's thank God we in a land of the greatest country in the world. And so that, well, I have to answer my little 2 minutes. I have to answer some folks who asked me yesterday about marriage. We're not talking marriage this morning. We're talking love. We're almost the same thing. But I'm going to answer them because if they ask me a question, I'm going to answer. Well, when you when you decided to wake up in the morning and to marry someone, you marry them not because hot sex, not because this guy look good and all of the crap that put in your head. So marriage is a union that comes together and make one. So why marriage having issues in the Bahamas today? Because the union is never created. Most times, people get married. They get married because they look the person look good physically. They think in their head that this is the right person to have my children because they got slick hair, and the children come out pretty. All the weird reasons why. So marriage do not survive when it's not a union. Anything other than that, if you make up your mind in the morning, you decided you can get married because that's the way you feel, that's not that don't work. It has to be a plan, and that plan has to grow and has to be a proper plan. So at the end of the day, and I'm not gonna go along with this, at the end of the day, it have four parts. And when we take on marriage next week, we will discuss those four parts. But as today, marriage don't work when it's I marrying you, but you really don't want to marry me, but I'm marrying you because I want I don't want somebody else have you. So or I'm marrying you because there's all different reasons. I want to get out of my mother's house. So it has to be a union. That means when you decide to marry somebody, it has to be 100% commitment. And let me explain. If a man decides to go and cheat on his wife, that doesn't mean the marriage end. That means you need to find a solution first before you break off running because marriage is a union and one can make a decision to break that union. I'll take that on another day. Mel,
Okay,
go ahead, Mel.
thank you. And it is time for our health segment. And today we're looking at what's on your plate. Remember, we're building on our 7-step formula, the new start. And we looked at the nutrients, which is the N in the new start, and we highlighted the Caribbean Guide for Healthy Eating. So, to help you a little further in understanding why we're promoting nutrition, the question is, why do you eat? Some people eat to live, others live to eat. Whichever way it is important that you know that eating is about nutrients. So, what does your plate look like when you think of that guide? How are you measuring up? Do you have all the food groups in each of your meal? Or are you binging on noodles, like I see is the common trend, not only with parents giving it to their children, but also their children growing up and that's their go to dish? Think about it, noodles. What's in noodles? Then we have the fast food trend where a lot of people are eating out. And if you look up here in the corner where there's the soda, the chips, then you have fries, you have a sandwich, and then some little candies are spilt throughout. Or you may just have two huge burgers. You know, the food industry is just attracting you with all these large combos at low prices. But why are you eating? A healthy plate is what is recommended if you really want to nourish your body properly. And when you look at the center, you see that on your plate should be fruits, vegetables, greens, protein, and then there is some dairy. So instead of soda, you might want to have some milk or some yogurt as a dessert, but it should not look like what we saw in the previous slide with all of these unhealthy options. So, nutrients is why we eat, why we have meals. We are about nourishing our bodies. And there are six essential nutrients, as you saw in the guide and as you are seeing here: protein, carbs, fat, vitamins, and minerals. And look at it, water is considered an essential nutrient, and it shows you what each of these food groups actually do for your body. So here we have a burger. This young man is having a burger. Nutrients are essential for body function. Carbohydrates give you energy, and it's also a source of fiber. And if you listen to all the different talks, you will find that fiber is essential for cleaning your gut, for lowering your cholesterol, also your blood sugar level. We have the protein, structural building blocks, of course, that's for muscles and cells. The fat is energy storage, it helps with cell repair. Water is a solvant, a lubricant. It transports the nutrients. It also keeps your blood nice at a regular consistency. And it also controls your temperature in the body. Then we have the vitamins, which in is involved in chemical reactions, and then of course the minerals, which also help with energizing for the nerve impulse, for the bony structure, and so forth. So how do you get these vitamins and stuff? You have here each of the food group providing you with vitamins. But if you are not eating healthy, if you are actually binging on foods that are imbalanced, just noodles or high carb foods, it means that you're not getting the nutrients that your body needs in order to function properly. And when that is happening, you are setting yourself up for sickness, for disease, for deficiencies, malnutrition. So, when does it begin? From the cradle to the grave, or from the womb to the tomb. That puts a heavy responsibility on parents to make sure that your children are eating healthy in order for them to grow. Other than that, they will be malnourished, and a malnourished body is not very good. So that brings us to the end. And on Friday, we will look at how to create that balance at a cost effective way. Thank you, Tony, and let's continue on.
Well, our show is based on relationship and a relationship show. But today, I want to elaborate more on your health tip and your boost, and then I will get into the relationship thing. I just want to ask some questions. So I want to be clear to the public. Um, I listen to you, and you talk about fiber. The body
Mhm.
needs fiber. Can you explain the fiber and what fiber does and what's important to fiber? Because the reason I say this is because um, there's a lot of people struggle with diabetes in the Bahamas.
Mhm.
It's a major, everywhere you go, people have diabetes, especially men, old men as they get up in age. And so when you talk about fiber and you talk about how you eat and the focus, so could you elaborate a little longer? Because it's important. See,
Yes.
this is important to men and women in the Bahamas. So I want you to elaborate a little longer on what fiber does for the body and where it relates, how it helps people with the diabetes.
Well, Tony, that is an extensive
I know, I know.
explanation, but
Yeah,
let me say that
short change it.
it is found specifically in fruits and vegetables. When you
Okay.
think about it, it has a lot of roughage. So it requires that you chew longer, and if you don't chew longer, then it means that it will actually go into the digestive tract and right out. But when you chew your food properly and it breaks the fruits and vegetables in particular, and sadly, we don't see that um, happening in our population on a large scale. Um, but fiber is useful in lowering your blood cholesterol. It is also useful in cleansing the digestive system. It also helps with the metabolism of your other foods that you have, especially the carbohydrates. Oftentimes, when we shop, the things that are perceived to be cheaper are your bleached food products, the flour and the um, breads that are not made from wholesome greens. And so, therefore, they serve like a glue. So, when you eat them now, first, there are no nutrients in it. And then it creates like a paste in the bowel. Colon cancer is something that is very common, and you hear advertisements on our local television all the time about colon cancer. You want to prevent colon cancer or reduce your risk for it, then you must increase your fruits and vegetables. And the problem that people have is that they have not been introduced to these foods in their family meals. And so, therefore, parents, you hear it commonly say, oh, he doesn't like this or he doesn't like that. The Bible gives you the responsibility of training. You don't train just for social interaction, you train for caring for your bodies. And so the root is set, the foundation is laid from infancy. So, yes, a child doesn't like a certain thing, but you have to demonstrate by eating. Children follow their parents. Whatever you eat, they will eat too. So if you're not eating it and you're not giving it to your children, or you don't like something, so therefore you don't give it to your children, you are basically setting the foundation for poor eating habits. The fiber also helps with lowering the blood sugar. So when you have that fiber in there, in your meals, it helps, it mixes, it helps with it going through the body much better. Okay? So colon cancer, diabetes, cholesterol, and of course, weight loss. I don't know if people realize that if you eat a plate of rice with chicken, macaroni, and you don't have fiber in that, okay, you get a belly full. A belly full is a belly full, people have a tendency to say. But I say all plates are not prepared equally. They don't have the same amount of nutrients in it. So I'm going to stop here because, as I said to you, it's very intensive, but it is important that people have fiber. The plate recommendation is that when you prepare your plate, you should have half of that plate with vegetables, a quarter of it with a little carb, and the other quarter with your protein. Instead, we have just a little smidget of vegetables in our plate, and then it's overcooked. No, if it's overcooked, then you're not serving the purpose. It has to be, or it should be, and it's best when it is raw or partially cooked. In that way, you have more opportunity to chew and chew and chew. And you get the nutrients also when you don't overcook it. All those vitamins, some of them are heat sensitive. So it goes to food preparation and getting it right if you want to be healthy, because it is true, you are what you eat, whether it is mentally, socially, or spiritually. And our aim is to keep it balanced. So get your sandwich of mind, body, spirit, but get the wholesome stuff in your physical food, in your mental food, and in your spiritual food. Okay, Tony,
All right. Now,
the
I
show.
want to, I wanted to keep that right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Toei's relationship show and we decided to talk about love. I felt that it's more important today because every day I go out and you hear people struggling. I trying to keep this sugar level down and I struggling. I walk in and I this and I that and they fighting. They fighting a whole lot of this diabetes and 90% of it. And the reason why I probably keeping it here is because to get your sugar level down is not really sometimes what you're eating, is where your mind is at. Is stress. Stress on the job, stress from family. You're taking on so much. You might have financial issues. And so stress will get your sugar level rise to so much. I am also, Mel, you could elaborate if you want. You can go back and elaborate. I go ahead.
You are absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I do with persons that I coach
Mm-hmm.
is get them to appreciate how stress affects the body. And the thing about it is, when we recognize that we are stressed, our stress level is truly out of control. But we have low lying stress in our lives. You mentioned some of the things:
Mm-hmm.
family, job, home environment, expenses, finances, external relationship, conflict, and these things play on your mind. And unless you learn how to cope and respond appropriately, you talk about the crime that's going
Mm-hmm.
on in our society. Um, you have to be able to know how to walk away, how to sign off. You have to practice good sleep hygiene, good time management, and then you have to be able to know how to do a stress level check on yourself. And then also how to lower that stress with very simple steps. Simple step. Breath work, taking 10 minutes away from whatever it is and then going back to it. Before you go to bed, turn the TV off, and the list goes on. There are so many simple lifestyle habits that we have that compromises our sense of well-being and triggers, because I'll tell you, when I did my first research, it was with persons who had diabetes and hypertension, and how these conditions present problems with your eyes. And
Mhm.
most of the persons that I interviewed told me that they were discovered to have diabetes at a very stressful point in their life. Now,
Correctly.
medical science look at diet, exercise, and medication.
Mhm.
But few physicians tap into stress management,
Mhm.
maybe because they don't know. But when you are studying the condition and the onset and the predisposing factors, stress is right there among them. But
Most,
they
most
had
definitely.
to focus on it
Mhm.
in terms of targeting it in their treatment modality.
But see, I also I think this must be a blessing from God. You have these like a knack to go through, and this morning we supposed to talk about love and relationship. But somehow I wake up this morning thinking, because having conversation with guys yesterday and the day before, and I discovered that in the Bahamas we have so much people looking for answers and looking for education and looking for knowledge about what's going on with their body. I discovered, having conversation, that doctors don't really communicate with their clients properly for them to understand. See, we tell you something, a physician tell you something, and he said, do this, do this, do this, and then he said, this will happen, this will happen, and then he give you tablets, and he on your way. Now here's where I go in, so you could elaborate on it. In most cases, what happens, you leave the physician office confused because they tell you, eat this, don't eat
And
this,
don't, yeah.
yeah, and so the person goes home and they're trying to figure, well, what should I eat? And then they also try to figure out, I doing all of this, but it ain't working.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talk about the stress level, and when we talk about, see, people get, majority of Bahamians who got diabetes, who got type of diabetes, they get up and walk every morning. They're going to walk. But do they know the walk is doing more damage? Because the way they walk, one, first of all, they walk, they're under stress, walking because the area they walk in, they scared, their mind ain't clear, so you don't have a clear walk. You you on the phone trying to do business. That's another stress. So to have a good walk and to be stress free for the walk to help your body, it has to be
A
nice.
a
You
mindful
could explain it.
walk.
You could explain it. Mhm.
Yes, a mindful walk with
Mhm.
all gadgets, unless you have just some pleasant
Sweet,
music
soft.
playing in your atmosphere. Looking at the trees, looking at the birds, looking at, the beauty of these are the things that help to restore, refresh, and calm the body down, in
Mhm.
spite of the fact that you're walking. But if you are exercising, if you are eating properly, but your stress level remains high, yes, you will not see any appreciable results in those steps,
Right.
because the body has to be in tune. You have to be speaking to that body. You have to be nourishing that body with relaxing, beautiful, enjoyable moments when you go to your bed
And
at
then
night.
this is where,
Go ahead.
mhm,
Sorry.
and make sure, and 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 people who goes through this daily um routine, they do more harm than good, because you pick up knee problems because you're walking on a hard road. You pick up also, but here I go. There's a lot of time that you gotta have your words. I'm using your words on you now today. You have to have a relationship that is working. You have a relationship. Listen to the words I use. A relationship that works well. Because if your
Yes.
relationship is not adding up and all the work you're putting in, your relationship stress is so heavy to carry. That's the word.
Yeah.
You're doing no good.
And that is a very high level stress that is commonly found, people staying in relationships that are not working, that are abusive, that are just simply depressing, distressing. And so your body is in a pool of cortisol. And that is the thing that really keeps your sugar level up, because when you are constantly, and I've heard of people that before they remove themselves from such environment, they die in it. They die in it.
Mhm.
It's not self love, and it's definitely not good for the body. The hypertension, the
Mhm.
stroke, the diabetes, even the cancers, is because you are bathing in a continuous river of stress,
And
day,
then,
night, night, and day.
and last but least, you talk about, you always have to remind, I want people out there to remind that the level of stress, if you add work, relationship, and add kids, and you add all these things, money, finance, all these, the level of stress, if you carry that along with you, along with what you're putting in your mouth, and you're probably taking some medicine. So what you do, and then they say the medicine is side effect. So you worrying about that also. See, that's another added stress, because when you're taking the medicine, you worrying about what it's doing to your body. So all these stress and issues going on don't make a good soup for this whole pot, for this body. So what we
Mhm.
have to do, and then last but least, you come to your bedroom where you're supposed to rest. You're not having efficient sleep time. Then on top of that, you're watching CNN, you're watching these movies that all this killing and all of this. So your mind, your brain never stop working. It's so your environment. Explain the environment that you lay in now. That's the part I want you to get to. So you can get this comfort, the
But
body
basically,
rest.
you've said it, Tony. But we're wrapping up. But
Mm,
yes, your environment. You
mm,
have to create an environment that is welcoming, that is relaxing, that takes you away from the madness of the world. So
mhm,
the television. Definitely. I am a pro music advocate.
Hmm.
Calming, relaxing, it does tremendous relief. It brings serenity. It takes you back to your childhood. A lot of people can't appreciate it because they're so used to hearing somebody else's voice in their head. So you're somebody, all music is not good for all days and all occasions. You have to be able to appreciate when you're up, have the upbeat when you're down, have the calm when you're trying to go to sleep. There are so many different genres of music, but you have to tap into where you are within a given moment. I like to promote people staying present, not going ahead worrying about the future or looking back regretting the past. These are stresses for you, anxiety. We say it all the time, but we don't do it. What is gone is gone. You can't change it. What is before you, you cannot determine how it's going to turn out. But that's in the future. But where you are right now, at this moment, be present
Hmm.
and enjoy the ambience and create the life that you desire. Don't mind what everybody else out there is doing. You know what it is that makes you happy. Go for it.
Make sure, and I'm going to close, make sure the last thing, have a good water diet. Make
Essential,
sure you have a good water diet. Stop put,
especially during these summer months.
yes, stop putting this Coke in your mouth. Stop drinking this Kalik. Stop drinking these juices. Drink water. That's my law. Water cleanse the body. And we'll close on this. It's just that I don't know why my show stick on this. It's something, must he God, must he I supposed to do this? We didn't supposed to talk about diabetes, potential health, and all this. But this is where the
The
show. So if
health tip
somebody
letters.
listening, it's for somebody, and so I had to keep it here. But on Friday, 7:15, we'll be back and we talk about love. We'll still give you the continue
Yes.
with love,
And we will
but
wrap up the
I had to let the
nutrients.
show. Yeah, I had to let the show run. I don't know why, but to help you, somebody out there with this hypertension, diabetes problem. Mel,
Okay, Tony. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. See you again on Friday.
goodbye. Have a good day, everybody. Mel and Tony under the tree, where we meet. Have an excellent day. Bye bye now.